What if the person who left was exactly the one the universe sent to wake you up? What if that impossible love, the one that tore you apart inside, was not a mistake but a mirror? In this video, you will understand why some encounters seem written in the stars but doomed to fail. With Carl Jung, we will dive into the mysteries of synchronicity, the shadow, and individuation, and discover why someone you could not have may have been the key to finding yourself. If topics like psychology, philosophy, and the darkness of the human soul interest you, subscribe to the channel now. There are moments in life when time seems to fold in on itself. Everything slows down. The noise of the world goes silent. The weight of the everyday disappears, and suddenly, all that exists is a gaze. The gaze of someone you feel you have known before even existing. It is not just attraction, not just affinity. It is as if that presence invokes something ancient, dormant, buried. Jung would say that in that instant, a living symbol entered the scene. And when that happens, the soul recognizes. The body trembles. The world goes silent. It is strange to explain, because this connection defies reasoning. It does not ask for logic. It demands surrender. You feel that this person is not just another one, but a milestone, an invisible watershed. There is something in the way they look at you, or in the way they say your name, that touches a forgotten frequency inside you, as if they held the key to a door you did not even know existed. And when that door opens, everything that was hidden begins to scream. Memories, traumas, hopes, fears. It is not just a meeting, it is a calling. But then comes the paradox. The more real this connection feels, the more impossible it becomes. Circumstances do not help. The timing does not align. Destiny seems to play with loose ends. You begin to realize that this person, who seems to fit perfectly into your soul, simply does not fit into your life. And the pain begins. Not the pain of a concrete loss, but of an absence full of meaning. That absence that echoes in silence, because what was born had no space to bloom. In that moment, you begin to ask yourself, why? Why would the universe bring someone who awakens so much, only to take them away? But maybe the question should change. Jung teaches us that not everything that happens to us is to be lived as we want, but as we need. This person may not have come to stay. Maybe they came to reveal what was hidden, reveal your hunger to feel, reveal that your heart, after so much numbness, still beats. Because the universe does not always send an angel. Sometimes it sends a mirror, and that mirror has the power to strip you bare from the inside. It shows everything you hide, even from yourself. The fear of rejection, the desire to belong, the vulnerability you try so hard to camouflage. This kind of encounter disarms. It breaks the emotional armor you built to survive. It tears off the mask of the persona and exposes the soul. That is why it hurts so much. Not because of the loss of the person itself, but because of the loss of the illusion of control. The connection is so intense, so symbolic, that you feel as if you are in front of something sacred, and maybe you are. Jung believed that these encounters carry a psychic function. They are expressions of the unconscious seeking to become conscious through the other. What you see in this person is, in fact, a forgotten part of yourself, and that is why their absence hurts more than any physical separation, because they took away not only their presence, but the version of you that existed beside them. And that is where the hidden purpose in chaos lies. The impossible love in this context is an initiation, a rite of passage. It does not happen to complete you with the other, but to break you, and in the shattering, force you to look at yourself. These encounters are portals. They do not offer us happy endings, but truths. Truths about who we are when touched by something we cannot control. Truths that burn, but free. So, when someone arrives and the world goes silent, do not ignore it, because it is not always just a coincidence. It may be a synchronicity. It may be the unconscious trying to speak to you, using another person as its language. And this language cannot be translated into words. It is felt in the stomach, in the chest, in the shiver. And what it is saying, deep down, is simple. wake up. There is something you need to see, and this person who will leave was sent only to open your eyes. Have you ever felt that an encounter was not a coincidence? That there was something mysterious behind that improbable, almost absurd arrival, as if the universe had stitched time and space just for that to happen? It is not uncommon to think this could only have been destiny, but Carl Jung proposes another reading, a deeper, more unsettling one. He called it synchronicity. Unlike what many believe, synchronicity is not magic, nor superstition. It is the moment when an external event coincides with an internal state in a meaningful way, but without causal relation. It is when something that pulses in your soul manifests outside in the material world. Jung believed these events do not follow the linear logic of reason, but the symbolic law of the unconscious. They are, at the same time, mysterious and precise, as if reality responded to what you have not yet had the courage to face. That is why, when someone appears in your life in an impactful, almost mystical way, the question should not be, why did this happen to me? But, what is this trying to show me? The person who emerges so powerfully may not be your romantic destiny. They may be a living response to a deep movement within your psyche, an embodied symbol, a metaphor in flesh and bone. And that is where everything transforms. Because in that instant, you realize that perhaps the universe did not give you this person so they would stay, but so you would wake up. Maybe they came to destabilize you, to break the emotional bubble you built around your pain. They are the thunder that tears through the sky of your stagnation. They are the calling, the touch that pulls you out of numbness. And as cruel as it may seem, in that shake lies the true opportunity for transformation. Many confuse synchronicity with romantic destiny. They project all their fantasies onto the other. It was meant to be. We met by chance, but it was written. But Jung did not speak of comfort. He spoke of truth, and truth almost always hurts. The truth is not, this person is my soulmate. The truth is, this person revealed parts of me that I ignored and that I can no longer hide. These encounters activate old wounds, forgotten desires, insecurities you thought you had overcome. They do not confirm what you want, but expose who you are. And that is why it is so hard to forget, because deep down, it is not about the person, but about what they triggered in you. You think of them months or years later, because you are still trying to decipher the message they brought. They became a symbol, a mirror, a turning point in your personal narrative. It is tempting to romanticize. The idea of soulmates separated by circumstances is almost mythical. But Jung invites us to look beyond the mythology. He challenges us to use pain as a compass. Synchronicity does not come to feed your hopes, but to confront your blockages. It is the universe saying, "Are you ready to change?" Then here is someone who will turn you inside out. That is the brutal beauty of synchronicity. It does not comfort you, it awakens you. And when everything seems to have passed, when the person is gone, when the contact is broken, a scar remains. But not just any scar, one that carries meaning. Because that encounter, however brief it may have been, marked the exact moment your soul moved, even if your body stayed where it always was. And maybe, just maybe, all of this was never about the other, but about you, about your hunger to feel, your thirst for truth, your need to return to yourself. Leave in the comments, "I found myself in the absence." I want to know who had the courage to look into the invisible and come out stronger on the other side. When someone who seemed made for your soul cannot stay, the pain is not only from the physical absence. The real wound lies in what that person took away, the image you projected onto them, the hope, the idealized future, the meaning you built for that connection. This loss is a wound in your soul, a void that seems to scream silently. This is where one of the deepest concepts of Jung's psychology enters: the shadow. The shadow is not a mere flaw or weakness. It is the hidden part of the psyche, where we store everything we reject, deny, or hide. Our pains, fears, repressed desires, and aspects of ourselves we do not want to see. And rarely can someone reveal our shadow as completely as an impossible love, because in this encounter, you do not just see the other, but you see yourself, stripped, fragmented, and vulnerable. You feel jealousy that seems irrational, a visceral fear of losing, an obsession that borders on delirium. You know it is an exaggeration. That reason does not explain it, but you cannot control it. And you feel ashamed for it, as if that intensity were a sign of weakness. Jung would say this is not weakness, but the unconscious knocking at your door, asking to be heard. This impossible love is a cruel and painful mirror that reflects everything you tried to hide, and it does so without asking permission. This person, who seems to understand you like no one else ever has, may not have come to stay because they carry their own shadows, their own wounds. Or maybe the time is not right, or their role is not to build a home, but to start a fire. You feel anger, revolt, injustice, as if the universe were playing with you. But what if it is not a game? What if it is a call to awakening? Because the revealed shadow is not punishment, it is a doorway to self-knowledge. You can only heal what you can see, and often only deep pain forces us to open our eyes to what we deny. This impossible love forces you to confront your emotional dependency, your fantasies of salvation, your tendency to idealize anyone who offers even a dim light. You are not wrong for feeling. On the contrary, you are alive, facing a mirror that does not lie. Imagine your identity as a shell built over the years, strong and protected, full of mechanisms not to feel too much, to avoid pain. Someone comes along and says, "No words. I want to see who you are inside." And they pierce through you, not out of malice, but because you were unconsciously ready for it. These encounters are like emotional x-rays, showing where it still bleeds, where it still hopes to be chosen, where it believes it must be perfect to be loved. And the cruelest part, the person who emotionally unstructured you was not a mistake. They were a silent invitation, a summons for you to stop running and begin to find yourself. They touched where it hurt because it was necessary to feel. It was time to stop rationalizing what, deep down, is a desperate cry from your soul. The question that arises from pain is brutal. Do you love the other, or the version of yourself that you see when you are with them? This impossible love is an initiation, a painful and beautiful rite of passage. It pulls you out of numbness and throws you back into your own story, saying, "Wake up, look at yourself, see what was asleep." And there is only one way to transcend this pain, to make the unconscious conscious, to integrate the shadow, to embrace your contradictions, to accept that you can love and hate at the same time, that you can want to stay and flee, that you can need and deny. There comes a moment when the pain from the absence of the other begins to give way to a different pain, the pain of yourself. You stop asking why that person left and begin to ask yourself, what did I lose of myself trying to keep them here? This is the beginning of individuation, that solitary and challenging journey that Carl Jung described as the deconstruction of what you thought you were so that your true self could emerge. Individuation is not a light or quick process. It does not happen with sudden flashes of illumination, but through gradual demolition, a careful and painful dismantling of the masks you built to survive. It is accepting your shadows, fears, and contradictions, recognizing that you can love and hate, want to stay and flee, desire and deny all at the same time. It is an honest and raw encounter with your own soul. In this process, you realize that the pain of losing someone may be less than the fear of finding yourself alone with your own truth. What you avoided seeing within yourself begins to reveal itself. Repeated patterns, internal stories of emotional scarcity, the search for in the other what could only be found within. And it is this inward movement that begins true transformation. The person who emotionally unstructured you did more than leave. They offered you a silent invitation. You can continue running from the pain or accept the call to find yourself. This experience touched where it hurt because you needed to feel, needed to stop rationalizing what, deep down, was an urgent plea from your soul to awaken. Understanding this calling means realizing that the impossible love did not come to tie you to someone, but to free you from the illusion that you need to be saved by another. This liberation does not come with euphoria, but with mourning. mourning for the version of you that loved desperately, that idealized, that needed to be chosen to feel worthy. And only after the mourning comes the clarity. That clarity brings a different silence, not the empty silence of absence, but the full silence of acceptance. You look back and see that it was not about the other. It was about who you were in that brief moment beside them, and about who you are willing to become without them. It is the moment you begin to inhabit your own soul with courage and wholeness. Individuation is the journey of becoming whole, not despite the wounds, but because of them. It is accepting that you are fragmented, that you live with both light and shadow, and that this integration is what brings meaning and depth to your existence. The impossible love was the door the universe opened for you to enter this hall of internal mirrors. Now, instead of seeking outward, you begin to listen inward. Instead of asking someone else to save you, you discover that you are already enough, even with your imperfections, your scars, your doubts. And it is there, in that encounter with yourself, that true freedom begins. You realize that the love that could not stay was not a failure, but a sacred calling. A calling to awaken from illusion, to look within and face what you have always avoided. The absence of that person is not a void, but a space that can now be filled by you, by your self-knowledge, by your courage to embrace all the parts that make up who you truly are. This path is not easy, not comfortable, but it is the only one that leads to true freedom. To break free from the cycle of pain and repetition is to become the protagonist of your own life. To transcend the destiny that seemed written and write a new story, one that is born from the deep encounter with yourself, in silence, in acceptance, and in the integration of the shadow. If this video touched something inside you, if it made your heart race or your mind question, I want to invite you to continue this journey with me here. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you do not miss the upcoming videos that will dive even deeper into this topic. Some may think this was the end, but be careful. The war is not over yet. There are still things left unsaid. These two videos in front of you are not here by chance. And what if everything you believe about yourself is just a reflection of someone else's gaze? Click on one of the videos beside you now and start to break that mirror. You are going to have to risk the click. So, which one will you choose?